Hey guys, Corey Correa here. Welcome to Blue Talks, and I hope you enjoy this video.
Oh, okay, sure. Hey, thank you. Thank you. I'm so pleased, honored, humbled in all the best ways, I think, to be here at UCLA among incredible speakers. I've been inspired already, so I'm thrilled that I am considered worthy to be among you. And I want to start off with this quote from Susan David, who's a psychologist, renowned psychologist, author of the book Emotional Agility. She says, "Discomfort is the price of admission for a meaningful life." I'm of the belief that everyone in this room wants to live a meaningful life, that we want to discover a good way of being with ourselves, with the world around us, in our companies, in our relationships. But meaningfulness, discovery is always on the other side of discomfort. Have you noticed that to be true? Some of the things that you've discovered that bring meaning to your life happen only after you've been uncomfortable with things. And if that is indeed the case, if discomfort is the price of admission for a meaningful life, we've got some work to do because we are increasingly becoming more and more uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. There's two things I want to tell you about myself before I move forward that are very important for you to know. Yes, I am a communications consultant. Yes, I do executive coaching. But beneath my professional world, I am animated by two very critical things about who I am as a person, and that's really why I'm here today. Thing number one, I'm a musician. This is a picture from 1979. I'm the one on the right with a cool sock game and the bravado shirtlessness of an 8-year-old in 1979. That's my first saxophone. That's my father, Jon Augustine. He was also a jazz saxophonist who became a jazz pianist, who became a teacher and a composer. He passed away 3 years ago. He's still the most important musician in my life. That was 45 years ago. This was last month at Abbey Road Studios in London. I show you this picture because it's just fun to say out loud. I played at Abbey Road Studios in Studio 2 where the Beatles recorded. And that piano I'm playing, the Steinway, was one of the most incredible instruments I've ever played on. I was invited to participate in a recording session with a musician to play keys, to sing. I played that Steinway. I played the Hammond B3 organ that's over my right shoulder and the Fender Rhodes keyboard behind me. And what you don't see that's out of the frame is the famous Mrs. Mills piano that Paul McCartney played on Obla Di, Obla Da. I got to play, my fingers touched the keys that Paul McCartney touched on this album. So I'm showing you this to say music has taken me incredible places in my life. And I found myself in not just in places, but learning things that I never thought I would learn because I'm a musician. Thing number two, before I show you this picture, I need to confess to you, I'm a white guy. You want to go ahead and take that in? I am a white dude. Why does that matter in the context of the conversation that I'm having right now? Well, on this campus many, many years ago, I joined an organization, a fraternal organization that, from the look of things, I would not have belonged there. Let me share this photo with you. This is the Nu Delta chapter of the most honorable Phi Beta Sigma fraternity incorporated here on the campus of UCLA. See if you can find me. They didn't put me in the back because I'm a white dude. They put me in the back because I didn't get the memo that day we were wearing our colors, and I showed up in a pink shirt. And Alan behind me also wasn't wearing his colors. I'm a part of this organization and where I, quite frankly, don't belong, it seems. Two of these gentlemen, LeBron on the bottom left holding up the three, his name is actually LeBron James. His dad is LeBron James Sr. This is before King James existed. This was the LeBron James I knew. And then up to the right, I can't even point him out, Antonio. We started a podcast recently because we found ourselves having these conversations about race and identity and citizenship and religion and colonialism and Confederate symbols and holidays. And we thought, you know what? People need to get in on this conversation because we could fully be ourselves and talk about these things. And LeBron said it perfectly. He said, you know, we are visually what the founding fathers didn't even know they wanted. So we started this podcast called 3 for the founders. And the reason I tell you these things and show you these 2 things about myself is because being a musician and being among these men have not only animated me, but they guide how I move through the world, and they have taught me some critical elements about discovery and discomfort. And going back to the Susan David quote, I want to share 3 lessons that I've learned from music and from these men that have enabled me to discover new ways of being in life. And in order to do that, I need to introduce you to 2 notes on this keyboard. The first note is middle C. It's usually where music starts when you're learning piano. That's middle C. Right next to it, its immediate neighbor is B. It's a half step away. It's quite literally on the keyboard the closest neighbor to C. It sounds like this. So far, so good. C, meet you all. You all meet C. B, meet you all. C, B. When I play C, I doubt there's much that's happening in your mind other than just hearing a note. It's not good, it's not bad, it's not right or wrong, it just is. It's just C. Same thing with B. Just B. Just not good, not bad, not right or wrong, it's just B. It's also not very interesting. But when C and B, these neighbors, when they start interacting with one another and they start sharing the same space, you'll notice that you now have a different feeling that's happening. Do you feel that slight difference? We call this, in music, dissonance, discord, discomfort. What we do with this determines everything. And the first lesson that music has taught me when it relates to dissonance is turn the volume down. If you notice, when I play these notes like this, it's very grating, there's a lot of friction. You have an emotional response to that difference, don't you? You either want it to stop or you say, no, I like a C, I'm a C person, I'm a B person, I'm gonna say B. This is what most political and opposition contrast relationships and conflicts sound like. But if I turn the volume down, I haven't solved anything yet, but you're having a different experience right now, aren't you? You hear the tension, you can hear they don't quite match. But what if this was the sound of something else entirely, and we didn't have to label it or categorize it or call it what it isn't? Y'all probably know this piece of music. You've heard this before. It's Johann Sebastian Bach, written 300 years ago. Now, before I go further, I'm just going to play a few more measures of this. I know when I sit down at the piano, everyone's like, can you just please give us a concert? And I kind of will a little bit. When classical composers write music, they don't just write the notes. They tell you how to treat the notes. They write things about, you play it staccato or legato. It's a very different feeling. So they also talk about volume. And I want you to listen to this one measure where I end and see if something sounds a little familiar to you. Do you hear it? What happens when I turn the volume down? There's possibility. There's still tension. That's tense, but it's beautiful. When we experience opposition, we are being conditioned to yell at it. We are being conditioned to be in a constant state of agitation towards who we perceive to be an enemy that, quite frankly, we never even have to face, because we can scream at the top of our lungs in all caps while we silently pad in the corner what we really think. And science is catching up with this reality. We are being conditioned out of our ability to sit with opposition and just ask ourselves, what is this teaching me? What is here? Maybe this is the sound of humanity. Maybe this is the sound of possibility. Maybe this can be this. It's been happening for hundreds of years in music, but we're starting to get unraveled from that reality. And in the world that I live in, I mentioned I have a podcast. I don't know if you know that when you say things on the internet, sometimes people don't always agree with you. Have you seen this happen before? I want to show you a volume up response that I got from something I said on my podcast. Wanted to make sure I said goodbye to another sellout like you. This is someone I've known since high school. Volume's up, all the way up. Here's a little bit, not quite as loud. John, are you crazy? Have you lost your mind? This is our limbic system at its worst. Feeling a threat from the other, from the opposite, and having to have the volume up. We're being trained to be that way. But I also want to share with you a good friend, I'm going to name him, Scott, who said to the same post, "What do you mean by that exactly? Can you show me some examples? I understand your perspective, and we'll have to agree to disagree. I do appreciate the thoughtful discussion." Scott and I are still friends. Those other two, I did reply to them. I had to put my own beliefs into practice. I sat with those messages for a night, and I said, how can I have a volume down response to these? I haven't heard from either yet. And I don't blame them because, again, we're being conditioned to be this way. The most audacious, loudest voice tends to be the one that gets our attention, and we're losing this ability to live in the nuance that Johann Sebastian Bach in 1720 so deftly handled. Turn the volume down, and maybe we'll reinterpret discomfort as a sign of life, a sign of diversity, and a sign of possibility. Music's taught me another critical lesson. Turn it upside down. After you turn the volume down, turn it upside down. There's a concept in music and a vehicle and a practice in music called voicing. And in order for me to show you this concept, I'm going to introduce you to two new notes, a D and a C sharp. They have the same relationship with one another that C and B have, where they're a half step away from each other. So if we treat it with the volume up, this is what they sound like. With the volume down, they sound like this. But you do something else in music called voicing, where you take notes that exist and you just move them around. You just flip them. What if I put this one over here? And what if I surround them with other notes? So what if I take the D and I turn it upside down and I put it down here? This is what it sounds like. It's called a major 7. This is jazz, this is R&B. What if now I have these two notes getting along a little bit better? What if I put some context and I get some understanding? How about I put the 5th, the A? Oh, that sounds kind of nice, right? I'll put the 3rd, F sharp. You're having a completely different experience with this now, aren't you? I'm going to take this F sharp, put it down here. It's a little tighter. I liked it more open. I'm going to put it up here. Now I'm going to take this D, and I'm going to flip it, turn it upside down, and put it down here. Oh, yeah. Now I'm going to get Luther Vandross to say, if this world were mine, I would place at your feet all that I own. You've been so good to me. If this world were mine. Luther Vandross, come on. I know that I'm no Luther. So maybe you're not an R&B person. Maybe you're more like yacht rock. That's a thing these days. So Ventura Highway in the sunshine. If you know, you can sing. When the days are longer, the nights are stronger than moonshine. We went from this to moonshine. How do we do that? We flipped it. We turned it upside down. What does this represent in our daily lives? Context, depth, understanding, starting with maybe there's a place for this opinion. I showed you a picture of my fraternity, and I want to give you a little bit of a peek behind the curtain of 1990 black fraternity. When you're pledging a black fraternity in 1990, you wear a uniform. You shave your head. That's the first part of your uniform. It's like the military. We had a pledging uniform, black combat boots, royal blue sweats, white hoodie with a blue number on your chest. Mine was 1. David's, who was in that picture, was 2. And that represented the order we stood in line when we pledged. Now, we had these things called sessions. A session was when you hadn't been initiated into the fraternity quite yet, and so you're proving your worth. We were leaving a session late at night. Let's call it early morning. It was more like 2 in the morning. from Beverly Hills, from further beyond to here in Westwood, which put us through Beverly Hills at 2 in the morning. I was driving my vehicle that we called the Hoopty, 1967 Volkswagen bus. I inherited it from my Uncle George, who was also a jazz musician and trombonist, who ripped out all the seats so that he could fit everything in his van and had never painted it once. And so this is the vehicle. When I'm simulating driving, I can't go like this. I'm like this. We're driving through Beverly Hills. I'm driving. David, black gentleman, my fraternity brother, soon to be, is sitting there. And I heard it first, whoop, whoop, and then I saw it. Oh, God. And you know that feeling when you pull over, I'm taking some breath. Okay, where's my wallet? Where's my license? Here comes the... And I look over at David. He's got a very different look on his face. David's a quiet person, a very confident person. But there was something different about his manner that night. I'm very pleased to report that this police officer was lovely. He had a good sense of humor. He walked up to the window and essentially said, "What the hell are you doing here?" And I just decided to tell him the truth. I'm like, "Well, officer, we're pledging a fraternity, and I know this looks shady, and I know that just pay no attention to what you see here. We're on our way back to UCLA to the dorms." He said, "Well, why don't you be on your way?" Okay, all right. Take my breath. All right, that worked out well. And as I'm pulling away, I look at David, and he's just tense. And he breaks the silence, and he says, "I'm really glad you were driving." I was like, "What do you mean? You're a fine driver. This would have been fine if you were driving." What? He goes, "Have you never heard of DWB?" What's DWB? Driving while black. Oh. Okay. You and I just had completely different experiences, David, because my fear in that moment was, I'm going to get a ticket, and I'm going to have to explain to my parents what I was doing at 2:30 in the morning in Beverly Hills. David was literally fearing violence and arrest. I've told this story and had some pushback with folks saying, "Well, how do you know what would have happened? What if you were black? And what if David was driving?" It's impossible to know what would have happened. But what's impossible to disagree with is that we were having completely different experiences in that moment because of all the experiences we had before that moment. That turned it upside down for me. I have never seen that fear the same because David took this and gave me this. In our political or personal opposition, let's take the time to go beneath the yelling of what our beliefs are and go, why do you feel this way? Where were you the first time you felt that strongly about it, and why? What are you afraid of? What do you need? Turn it upside down. The last lesson in music is maybe the most obvious: play. There's a lot of verbs we can use with music. I study music, I write music, I compose music, I buy music, I enjoy music, I go to see music, but the fundamental verb is play. Things have gotten so serious, haven't they? The most serious, strongest voice tends to win. And when you listen to something like Mozart, this isn't actually Mozart, but he would have written something like this. You hear that? You hear the sense of humor in that? This note, he's being playful. He's being playful. So much of music teaches us the importance of play. I don't know if any of you can relate to having a complicated relationship with your father. I did. You saw the picture of my dad. He was a wonderful man. And like I said, he passed away 3 years ago. But alcohol got him. It just got him young. It got him hard. And when I was 13, he quit drinking. But the residual of his alcoholism continued in his life. And I was a 16-year-old boy in high school, learning to play bass among the new instruments I played. My sister had gone off to college. And my dad was separated from my mom. And so my dad and I had this bachelor pad of awkwardness that we lived in, where we just kind of hovered around one another and couldn't really connect, didn't have things to talk about. He would work late, and sometimes he would get home 8:30, 9 p.m. And he was always writing. He had these yellow pads of paper, and he was writing down lyrics, song ideas, just pieces everywhere around the house. And this one night, he got home late, and he sat down at the piano. And he said, let's play. And I'll never forget it because there were no more pieces of paper on the notebook. All it was that thick, grainy, brown, gray backing, and my dad's thick Polish fingers that shouldn't fit on the piano keyboard. And I'll never forget his all caps writing, Gentle Rain is the name of a jazz tune. And underneath that tune, he wrote the chords, the letters of the chords. And I was afraid at first. I said, Dad, I'm not a jazz bass player. I don't know what to play. He said, just play. But what notes do I play? Just play. He said, play the root, which just means play the bottom note. And within seconds, we started playing the song, and the differences and the awkwardness just completely disappeared. If we were more playful with one another, I'm trying to gauge this crowd. Is this an Elton John crowd? Is this a Prince crowd? What if I went like this? I never meant to cause you any sorrow. I never meant to cause you any pain. I love this line. I only want to see you one time laughing. I think that's what he says. Yeah. I only want to see you laughing in that purple rain. Sing with me. Purple rain. Purple rain. Oh my God. Oh my God. You know what just happened? Do you have any idea what just happened? Besides the fact that you wanted me to keep playing. All your differences faded in that moment because we were playing. We were playing. In a moment, it didn't matter your political affiliation, your background, your thoughts, your current state of mind. You were playing. We have lost this fact that we're meant to play and be together. And the more opportunities we can play, even with people who oppose us, even if it just means funny repartee in a conversation, seeing the absurdity of it all, the sooner we're going to see we're meant to get through this together, no matter where our backgrounds come from. Play, play, play. Sir Ken Robinson has still to this day the most viewed TED Talk of all time. And in the talk, he's an educator, he's since passed. He talked about how we are just educating our people out of their creative capacities because we're just demonizing mistakes. In our classrooms, in our relationships, in our politicians, we just demonize mistakes. Where's our playfulness? Where's our sense of humanity? To wrap up, I just want to go back to do you remember these notes, our C and our B? They could sound like this, but if we turn the volume down, and if we just turn it upside down, and we start playing, maybe we have some hope to go